This is CBC Winnipeg News.
Good evening. Thanks for joining us. They tried to have a baby for 15 years and even went through 5 failed IVF procedures. Last October, this Manitoba couple finally welcomed their daughter to the world through a surrogate. But now the couple says they're being discriminated against and are left fighting for maternity benefits. The CBC's Gavin Axelrod has more.
Smile, there we go. Here we go, smile.
Jacqueline and Tim Blazanovic's wishes came true with the birth of their daughter Amelia last fall.
Lucky enough to have this laughing little girl.
Jacqueline works as an operating room assistant at Pan Am Clinic. She's been off work since October when Amelia was born. Because they used a surrogate, Jacqueline's not eligible for top-up maternity benefits, a frustrating discovery for the new parents.
Like, I'm not a mother. Like, I don't. Yeah, I guess sad. It's like I'm less of a person. Like,
under the collective agreement for her job, Jacqueline met all requirements for paid leave, except one, being able to provide a certificate of pregnancy and her estimated due date.
They refuse to wish to pay us because they're hanging on this thread that she's not the natural birth mother.
Jacqueline gets employment insurance, but it only covers about a third of lost wages. She's missed out on top-up payments, money that would have bumped her up to 93% of her weekly pay for about 4 months.
We can't be the only ones that think this is unfair. That's all we want is equality.
Bruce Curran is an associate professor in the University of Manitoba's Faculty of Law. He specializes in labor and employment law and says he's never seen a case like this.
Like any employer and union, but also the general public should take this as an opportunity to perhaps rethink what are our standard kind of plans or how we typically handle these kinds of leaves.
Jacqueline's union is bargaining for a new collective agreement. QP is pushing for new language surrounding maternity leave for people who use surrogates. Healthcare coordinator Shannon McAteer says she hopes anyone impacted can eventually be compensated.
But as soon as we became aware of it, we definitely brought it forward.
The union filed a grievance with the employer with a hearing set for July. The couple says even without an immediate resolution, they won't give up their fight. Gavin Axelrod, CBC News, Winnipeg.
The pro-Palestinian encampment at the University of Winnipeg's downtown campus has been taken down. Protesters were seen packing up tents and taking away gear this afternoon. The encampment first went up mid-May after protests on university campuses erupted across Canada and the United States. At the time, people at the U of W encampment said they were showing solidarity with Palestinians as violence in Rafah continued. Protesters have not said why they chose to dismantle the camp today, but in a statement posted nearby, it says the university would not engage with any of their demands. I want to bring in weather specialist Riley Lachuk right away here, because Riley, you've been tracking some severe weather this afternoon.
Yeah, Brittany, a bit of an active afternoon, not so much in Winnipeg, but areas to the southeast into the Whiteshell and especially into parts of northwestern Ontario, really seeing some severe weather throughout the afternoon hours here. Still a severe thunderstorm watch in place for the Whiteshell into the Sprague region. That has now been dropped for areas just east of the city of Winnipeg, including the Steinbach region, but we still do have a warning in place north of Red Lake, where we have seen some storms rolling through the afternoon here. You can kind of see that line of severe weather. Some of this actually didn't start bubbling up till we got almost to the Ontario border here. So a little bit later into the afternoon than we maybe anticipated throughout parts of the afternoon here. And certainly some storms and quite a bit of lightning associated with this line of storms, Brittany, as it moves through northwestern Ontario. We'll keep tracking this, and we'll talk about the heat and humidity when I come back in a few minutes.
All right. Thanks, Riley.
You're welcome.
A 78-year-old woman is dead after being hit by a train during a parade in a small rural community. People in La Broquerie are in shock after the fatal collision, which the Reeve says was witnessed by many people, including children. It happened during yesterday's St. Jean-Baptiste Day celebrations as the town held its annual parade celebrating French-Canadian culture. Bob Tickner was on a float when he saw the train closing in on a crossing.
All of a sudden it slammed on its brakes and we didn't know what was happening. So then we went on, and then we started hearing from people how somebody was hit and that kind of thing. And it's really sad that at an event like this, that's a celebration of St. John Baptiste, was spoiled by an incident like this.
A section of the road was closed for a few hours yesterday. Police say the woman was from Winnipeg and the investigation is ongoing. RCMP have arrested a 20-year-old woman in connection to a fire that destroyed the nursing station at Chemamawin. It happened early this morning in the community near Easterville, 440 kilometers north of Winnipeg. The building is a complete loss. No one was hurt. The woman is charged with arson and remains in custody. A new city report proposes Winnipeggers start paying $9 a year for curbside compost pickup starting next year. The service, however, won't be available for more than 3 years. The city's manager of solid waste says Winnipeg wants to save up to buy the green carts and kitchen pails everyone will need. He says other changes to garbage pickup could also be coming.
Typically with jurisdictions that have organics collection programs today, they do have biweekly garbage collection. We will look at doing that, not on the onset of the program, but certainly after the program has a chance within a couple of years to mature and develop, and then we'll look at that because it is a way to offset cost because you can have some savings on the garbage collection piece, and then you can apply those to the organics collection.
He says the final cost for curbside composting will depend on the type of facility that's built. He says the city also wants to partner with a private composter to set up compost drop-off depots for Winnipeggers. A note for drivers now, as a section of the Trans-Canada Highway is closed to traffic for the remainder of the work week. The highway will be closed in the RM of Headingley from Provincial Road 334 to just west of that. Both westbound and eastbound lanes will be blocked to traffic. It's part of the reconstruction of the Trans-Canada Highway, road and railway improvements. It also includes the installation of new railway tracks, railway signals, and the widening of the crossing, in addition to surface improvements. Detours are in place now. The closure is set to last until Friday night at 9. Game 7 in the Stanley Cup Final is just under an hour away. The Edmonton Oilers against the Florida Panthers, and regardless who wins, history will be made. And across Canada tonight, hockey fans will be glued to their TVs. CBC's Cameron McLean is at True North Square this evening, where a watch party is getting underway. And Cam, what's happening there tonight?
Everyone is invited down here to True North Square to take in the game. They're going to be showing it up on the big screen here in the square. There will also be places inside Hargrave Market up on the second floor where you can catch the game. It's still early in the evening, so as you can see, there's still plenty of space here in the square, but I'm sure as the game approaches, this place is going to fill up. Now, as you mentioned, tonight is going to be historic, no matter who wins. For Florida, they're in the final for the third time, and they're looking for redemption after coming in second place last year. And for the Oilers, they're going to be trying to join the 1942 Toronto Maple Leafs as the only team to fall behind 3-0 in the final and come back to lift the cup. Edmonton could win its first cup since 1990 and become the first Canadian NHL team to hoist the trophy since 1993. While the Jets aren't in the final, there are reasons for Winnipeg to cheer for either team. Former Winnipeg Jets head coach Paul Maurice is now coaching the Florida Panthers. He coached the Winnipeg Jets and got them to the third round of the playoffs in 2018. On the Oilers side, Calvin Pickard is the backup goalie. He's filling in for Stuart Skinner. He made his 2020-24 playoff debut in the series against the Vancouver Canucks after the team swapped out Skinner. And Pickard's sister Kelly was unable to make the trip from Florida to Edmonton, so instead she connected with Bobby Batola from Academy Hospitality, and instead a party here at True North Square was planned. Earlier I touched base with Bobby and some fans.
Her excitement was so palatable that we thought we should just do a really, really big one. So we're going to put the game on the big screen behind me. We've got the game upstairs at level 2, and we're just going to celebrate a couple local Winnipeggers. You know, Mark Stewart used to play for us, who was just an unbelievable guy, and of course Calvin and the family. It's just gonna, it's not the whiteout, but it's close.
All of Canada's watching. We're rooting for Edmonton. I know we wished it was Winnipeg, but you know, this is Canada, and the cup is coming home. I mean, fingers crossed, but I believe.
As you heard Bobby say just now, former Winnipeg Jet Mark Stewart is also on the coaching staff of the Edmonton Oilers. So that's another reason for Winnipeg to cheer for the Edmonton Oilers. The puck drop is shortly after 7 o'clock. Brittany?
All right, thanks so much, Cam. Lots of excitement tonight. And a little bit of weather excitement, yes, too, that Riley's been watching. I feel like every day is a little bit of a stressful day for you.
Every day is a little bit different.
Going into summer.
I will talk about not just the active weather that we're seeing that's moving into northwestern Ontario, but also the heat and certainly the humidity here in the Red River Valley. Here's where we got to today. Officially breaking that 30-degree mark in Winnipeg, 30.6 degrees at the Forks this afternoon, 30 in Morden Winkler as well, a couple of few 29s right around the Red River Valley and 27s through western Manitoba as well into northwestern Ontario. So certainly did see some very warm weather today. Wanted to show you the humidex readings from earlier in the afternoon because these are pretty high even for this time of the year. 35 humidex in Winnipeg, closer to 40 through southeastern Manitoba. And this is sort of that sector there where we have seen some of the thunderstorm activity bubbling up as we got through the afternoon. A few stats with that weather here. 30.6 at the Forks today. Second time actually that we have reached 30 this year so far. We reached 30.5 back on May the 11th. Our last 30-degree day before that was back last September when we had a couple of really warm days. So September 3rd, 30 degrees. September the 2nd, Winnipeg actually got to 36 degrees at the Forks. So a few warm days last September, but this heat not necessarily going to last. We'll talk about that in a second. Here's a look at radar with the lightning tracking on it once again. And really, as expected, we are seeing some storms bubbling up through northwestern Ontario. And really, it was a lot further east and a lot further south than we were anticipating along this line. I even had Winnipeg in that risk for a thunderstorm this afternoon, but a lot of that didn't really materialize until it crossed into northwestern Ontario and even into extreme southeastern parts of Manitoba, where we do still have this watch as we watch this line of storms move through. That pushes through as we get into the overnight period tonight. Back to a mainly clear sky by the time we get to the overnight hours tonight. And then we start to see kind of the wraparound from this area of low pressure well off into northern Ontario. That will bring us the risk, at least, for a few scattered showers by the time we reach the evening hours tomorrow. More so back to the west, but could see a few sprinkles through southern Manitoba and into northwestern Ontario by the time we reach Tuesday into early Wednesday morning. In terms of accumulations, yeah, you get the idea. Not a lot, traced to a few millimeters, if that. Some of this taking into account the potential for some thunderstorms as we get through into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Winds, another windy day today. We'll see winds start to pick up again tomorrow. West 30, gusting 50 by the afternoon. Temperatures, yeah, a lot more moderate than they were today, a lot less humid as well as we head into the day on Tuesday. Risks of some showers, some thunderstorms across southwestern Manitoba. 17 in Thompson tomorrow, looking at a high of 23 in Winnipeg, Brittany. 25 for Saturday, and maybe a bit more rain coming your way as we head into the end of the week.
I like those temperatures, though. Thanks, Riley.
Yes, you're welcome.
Two high school students whose families had to flee wars, one in Ukraine, another in Sudan, are celebrating their graduation this week. They say coming to Canada and graduating here is setting them both on the path of fulfilling their dreams. CBC's Zubina Ahmed sat down with the two graduates.
I was born in a small town in Ukraine on East and moved here in 2023 because of the war in Ukraine. We came here as a refugee, so because of this visa that we have, refugee visa, we got financial help, and I went to school on May of 2023, and now I'm graduating. Me and my family used to have a small business, grocery store. There was a fire there, so it's closed now. And because of this, we lost our main income. I'm planning to go to University of Manitoba and study business in Asper School of Business. And for now, I'm working as a part-timer, so all money that I make, I try to save as much as possible.
My parents are originally from Sudan, all my family is from Sudan, but due to the wars that happened there, they decided to move to Egypt. And when I was 3 years old, we moved to Israel. I grew up there, I grew up in Israel, I studied there, I graduated high school. And then last year in 2023, of March 2023, we moved to Canada. Then we found this school 1 month after we moved. I applied to the scholarship when I applied to the university. It was in December. I did, and I wrote an essay of my background story and everything, and it was just like, I was shocked to get it, to receive it. I'm proud of myself for doing that. Like also, it's studying here, I'm studying English is my third language. So like doing my studies and getting high grades in my third language was also something that was very impressive. By graduating from high school, I'm finishing this chapter of my life and I'm going to the other chapter of really becoming a doctor right now.
History of Manitoba. So this says Manitoba Punjabi culture.
An Indian publisher brought a trove of Punjabi books from India to a book fair here. Books on display range from fictional tales to things of science, math, and even a book about Manitoba's history translated to Punjabi. Organizers say it's important for community members to have access to books in their mother tongue. We'll have much more ahead. You're watching CBC Winnipeg News. Manitoba MP Nikki Ashton says she wants to set the record straight about her expenses for a trip to Ottawa and Quebec that were approved by the House of Commons, but she's repaying the costs. Ashton says she went to Ottawa in December 2022 to deal with an urgent bedbug problem in her apartment building. She then traveled to Montreal and Quebec City for meetings. She says while the expenses were approved, she's now repaid them. Ashton says she and her family have been harassed and subjected to death threats. She says she's repaying the money to protect the privacy of the people she met with in Quebec. With wildfire season well underway in Western Canada, the small community of Kingfisher in the BC interior is taking measures of its own. Over the weekend, residents received basic training in how to fight fires. As Megan Dooling reports, it's part of the province's plan to bulk up human resources to help BC wildfire crews in remote areas.
Everything we have is volunteer. So people built fire wagons complete with hoses and pumps, and that's all been community-minded people. So yeah, every year we just get a little bit better, a little bit more knowledgeable, and I think we're going in the right direction.
Kingfisher is a rural community with around 500 year-round residents. It doesn't have a fire department, so community members are doing what they can to be self-reliant. The Kingfisher Community Society formed so the group could sign up for the 2-day S100 course.
A pump site without a water thief.
Doug McLeod is an experienced forester who's given 13 courses this spring in rural communities across the interior of BC.
In my experience, the locals, they know the area, they know the roads, they know the terrain, they know the weather, they're invaluable. They know the water sources.
McLeod says BC's recent push to educate First Nations and other remote residents is the future of wildfire fighting. It's new this year, and how it plays out remains to be seen. Megan Dooling, CBC News, Kingfisher.
A professional surfer and actor has died of a shark attack in Hawaii. Tamayo Perry was surfing at a beach on the island of Oahu when he was attacked. Local officials say he was loved by all in Oahu's North Shore.
Tamayo's personality was infectious, and as much as people loved him, he loved everyone else more.
A caller reported that a man had been bitten by a shark on Sunday afternoon. Emergency crews brought Perry to shore by jet ski, but couldn't save his life. The 49-year-old was a trained lifeguard and actor. In addition to Pirates of the Caribbean, Perry appeared in 2 other movies and the television series Hawaii Five-0. There have been 69 unprovoked shark attacks worldwide last year, only 10 of which were fatal.
Well, after a hot and sticky day across southern Manitoba, dew point temperatures tomorrow much more pleasant. Also back toward more seasonal temperatures. I've got your full 7-day forecast when we come back. Thought I'd start with a look at our UV index for tomorrow. We're looking at a 6 or a high. That means reduce your time outdoors through the midday tomorrow. Cover exposed screen, of course, with sunscreen, the hat, and lots of water. Today we're up at about an 8. Here's a look at your dog walking forecast for your Tuesday. Lexi is next to her favorite Jets stuffy. Yeah, not quite the team that's in the Stanley Cup Finals, but close enough. Temperature up to 23 tomorrow afternoon in your 7-day forecast. 22, clouds building in, clearing for Thursday. We start to see clouds building in a little bit as we get to Friday, when we could see a little more shower activity and sun for the long weekend, albeit a little bit cooler, Brittany. One dog is finding out that being exceptionally ugly can be rewarding.
That's not very nice. Finding out why in tonight's Daily Lift.
The world's ugliest dog is what?
Meet Wild Thing, the winner of this year's Ugliest Dog Contest. It took the Pekingese from Oregon 5 attempts before finally taking home the trophy, but the competition this year wasn't any easier.
So a close second was this 14-year-old pup in a wheelchair named Rome. The contest organizers see the annual event as a way to raise awareness about animal rescue.
You know what? All animals are
And
beautiful.
adoption. And they all deserve to be on the dog walking forecast.
Exactly, so they can send their photos here.
Yes, talk back at cbc.ca.
Game 7 gets underway in about half an hour. You can watch it right here on CBC. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.
See ya.